Hi, I'm Dan O'Connor, and it's time for Mail Call. Here's our questions for the day. How do you handle pessimistic comments from family members at holidays? Well, it all depends. If I am, under normal circumstances, a guest at somebody else's home, and I'm there to, have some holiday treats, and if nobody's counting on me to raise the dialogue there at the table, the vibration, which sometimes people are. For example, if my best friend invites me over, and the understanding is specifically, Dan, I need you there because we've got some real, humdingers, and they're going to be just dragging me down the vortex of negativity, and I need you to bring us up a little bit. All right. But if that's not the case, if I'm just there as a guest and it's not my tone to set, I would just try to walk in there with my force field of, positive light and protection really strong. That means, by the way, on the way over, I'm listening to some positive information. I'm listening to some brain food because it is true. What we put in there rattles around in there until it eventually comes out our mouth. Garbage in, garbage out. And there's a lot more to that story as well, of course. But if I do want to respond to it, or if, for example, somebody makes a comment to me, if somebody were to say, Dan, doesn't it suck that we're all going to be in lockdown for another year, maybe? Especially you, because you're so young and healthy and vibrant. We're like, but you know what? It's at the beginning, I thought it was going to be a difficult experience, but at the end of the tunnel, where I find myself now, I'm realizing that just like other things, it's not really about the experience. It's about how I choose to experience that experience. It's not like my experience is going to define me. My mother taught me that because I had a horrible experience, maybe it was a while ago now, horrible experience that I was letting define me and change my life. And I remember my mother said to me as I was leaving her house one night, she said, Dan, don't let this define who you are. You define what the experience means to you. Even if it's difficult, and it means something heavy and life-changing, you define it. Don't let it define you. And I'm like, oh. So I went home I went home that day and I was like, she's right. I can't do that. And I am doing that. I'm doing exactly that. And I know what she meant where, some things might change the perspective you have. They might teach you something that you didn't really want to learn. Some periods in our lives might be very difficult and change a lot of things for us. But the experience that we have does not define us. It reveals who we are, and we define it. That's the way it goes. So, for example, if somebody were to ask me at the dinner table something about COVID, I might say something like, well, I would want to validate them because the only chance that I have of changing somebody's mind and actually getting them to look at things in a more positive way, first of all, over Christmas dinner, when this is the only time I see them, once a year by design, there's not going to be a whole lot of breakthrough moments at that, Chris Mahana Wanakansa table. But if I want to do my best and say, hey, you never know. I've been asked by the universe to give my opinion. I'm going to give it. I would say something along the lines of, I think it's been a difficult experience for a lot of people. However, I know that based on my experiences and what my mother and father have taught me, thank you, Mom and Dad, it's really not about the experiences that we have. We can't choose or control the things that we experience. Many times we are dealt a hand and we have to deal with that hand. But I get to decide what that means to me. At the end of the day, I get to decide what I make of that hand. My mom used to be she probably still is a compulsive gambler. And, I can't lend her money. I can't give her anything because it's off to the casinos, even if it's just in the corner, with Benjamin playing they take these jacks and they throw them in the dirt and there's some horses and some chickens. And she'll come home with no money and like 2 chickens and a goat. And I'll have to be like, Mom, we're compulsive gambler. um, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. My mother, despite her challenges, has words of wisdom every now and then. I think she got them from the convent. If you know me, my mother used to be a nun before they kicked her out of the convent for, things like gambling problems and rebellion and possible lesbianism. Hallelujah! Where was I? Oh, you can't always control the hand that you're dealt. Well, you can't really. That's what makes a good gambler. My mother, one of her favorite songs, you might have guessed, is The Gambler by Kenny Rogers. And so she used to talk a lot, she uses, in her metaphors, she'll talk a lot about men and gambling and booze. And so she'll reference many times, how you can't choose the cards that you're dealt. That's the hand you're dealt. But with all of her experience in booze and casinos and gambling, she's a good card player and has a great poker face. And at the end of the day, because she knows how to play the game and hustle, and knows how to read a, pole dancer's face, she knows how to come out ahead in the end. Take her advice that she gained from her years in, the underbelly dark side of the Chicago alleys when she left Marquette University / Convent to go, I believe, chase boys in Chicago, where she met my father, who was a Christian brother. And then the rest is history. Ho, ho, ho. So, by the way, all of that's true. Well, most of it. There was no goat. You can't always choose your hand, but you choose what to make of it. And if you are consistent with, all right, what I'm going to do is take the hand that I'm given, and I'm going to find the way that if it's a painful experience, through my pain, I'm going to use that. I realized that my mother said it just at the right time when she said it to me, where I thought, evidently I'm not going to die, because sweet death was not a gift I was given that time that I wanted it. So I thought, I guess I'm going to be on that platform, on the train platform, watching everyone else go till the bitter end. I'm going to be the last one. I thought, well, that's my fate. Okay, I'm going to ship you all off to meet your sweet reward, and I'll be sitting here old and wrinkly, with a preparation H and a cane. But I have suffered enough where I'm not going to let it not serve a purpose for me. I'm not going to let that suffering be in vain. I'm not going to let that suffering be of no use to me. And you'll know what I mean. If you've been through enough is a big word for me, enough. Once you've been through enough suffering where you're like, okay, I've had enough. I've had enough suffering to know that I'm going to take the suffering that I've gone through and I'm going to make it work for me. I'm going to make not lemon out of lemonade. There's suffering that just you can't make lemonade from. It'd give you some type of diphtheria. But I don't even know what that means. But this will not be in vain. I'm going to use that. That's what it is. I'm going to take the suffering that I've been through and I'm going to use it. I'm going to take this, COVID horrible nightmare. And if I'm on the other side, I've lived through it, I'm going to be using that. I'm going to be smart. I have to take my experiences and make them work for me. I'm going to choose in the end how when I came through it and it's all done, experienced my experiences. That is what not defines me, reveals who I am. And so it's not about your experiences. It's about how you experience your experiences, because your experiences do not define you. Your experiences reveal who you are through how you experience them, and then you define your experiences in the end. And through that process, you are revealed. So many people that I know have been revealed to be total incompetent buffoons during this process, and that's okay. Somebody's got to be that role. I'm going to do my best not to be that. So I would say for example, at the holiday table, to make a short story long, when people talk about how, when people start talking about negative things, I would say to them, well, I can understand the feeling because I certainly have felt that way many times. But when I'm in my right mind, when I'm thinking clearly, I realize that it's really not about this past year and the experiences that we've all had. It's about how each one of us is going to choose to experience those experiences and what we're going to do with them in the end. That will reveal who we are. So I'm hoping that in the end, these experiences will not define me and my life from this point forward, but rather reveal who I've always been. And in the end, I will define these experiences, and I'll define them in a way that serves me rather than enslaves me. So that's what I'd hope to do. Be honest when people ask you. Now, however, I have found that the only way to make an impact, and if I want, for example, my nephew Eamon to listen to a message like that, if I want somebody who's a negaholic, or if I want somebody who I think is new and young and fresh and open to new things to hear that message, I would never volunteer it. The only way people will see our intelligence, that people will see our kindness, our ingenuity, our loyalty, our beauty, our specialness, whatever it may be, our positive attitude, the only way people will see it and be enamored of it, learn from it, value it, is if they discover it. So I would not inject anything ever, especially because the laws of the universe are, if I inject something and no one's asked for my opinion, I'm saying well, wait a minute, I'm going to tell you some positive thing that I read in a quote on Facebook, and it's going to be totally worthless, because if it were worth anything, I wouldn't be just barfing it out here on the table and giving it to all you suckers for free. Wouldn't happen. I might not realize how worthless what I'm saying is, but somewhere in our subconsciouses, we all do. So Merry Christmas. Here's your worthless present. I read it on a Facebook page, which is the new modern day version of a bathroom wall. Don't do that. Instead, wait your turn. Eventually, if you are kind, if you are positive, if you make lemons from your lemonade, if you are compassionate and generous, if you are smart, if you are all of those wonderful things, those virtues that we all, I think, hope we have, if you have them, people will discover them. If you display them, if you put them on display, even if they were real to begin with, they will not be seen by anybody, and they will be actually devalued, and you will have the opposite effect from the effect that you want. So, keep it under wraps. Your brains, your humor, your specialness, don't give it away for free. That just devalues it. And it shows the truth that you don't see its value, or you wouldn't be giving it away for free at the table to people who didn't really ask. Once they ask, different ballgame, okay? So I would tell people that, it's some version of, it's not about our experiences, guys. It's about how we experience our experiences. Just like tonight, when I leave here, I have many different ways I could think of this. But instead of taking a double dose of Pepto-Bismol to wash this evening down, I'm going to file it away, and we'll just say freeze dry it. Because someday it will come to me how tonight, even tonight, will serve me in some positive way. I just got to find what it is. Oh, jeez. Okay, here we go. Okay. Another question.